Now it's your turn to sketch the graph of a parabola by identifying key information about this graph and creating a table of values. Stop this video, take a moment to write out your answers to these problems in your lecture outline packet, and then turn the video back on to check your answers. In this example, we're given y equals negative 2x squared minus 3. We're asked to determine if this parabola opens up or downward, find the vertex, use those first two parts to create a table of values, and then finally to graph the equation. So to start, let's determine if this parabola opens upward or downward. We know that the coefficient on x squared is a negative 2, and that's going to tell us that this parabola opens downward. So we know that it opens downward as a equals negative 2, and that coefficient on x squared is most commonly referred to as a. If I look at this equation, y equals negative 2x squared minus 3, the value of a, the coefficient on x squared, is a negative 2. The value of b is actually 0, as I don't have a term containing x in that equation. So b is 0, and c is negative 3. This will be helpful when I determine the vertex, which I'll do next. So the vertex is, the x value is given by negative b over 2a. And once we find this, we can use it, we can plug it in and find the value for y. So negative b over 2a here will be the opposite of 0, which will simply be 0, over 2 times negative 2. So we're going to have 0 over negative 4, which is just 0. So now when we find y, we'll evaluate that right-hand side of the equation for x equals 0. So y will equal negative 2 times 0 squared minus 3, which is negative 2 times 0, or just 0, minus 3, giving us negative 3. So the vertex is the point 0, comma, negative 3. We'll use this vertex now to create a table of values for the equation. We're going to use the vertex because we know that the graph is centered around that vertex, so we want points on either side of the vertex. So again, the equation we have here is y equals negative 2x squared minus 3, and we found the vertex to be the point 0, comma, negative 3. So when we create this table of values, we'll put x equals 0 as the middle value and find a couple values on either side of it. So I'll have x and I'll have y. I'm going to put 0 in the middle, and so I can go 1 and 2 on the right, and negative 1 and negative 2 to the left of that x value. We already know the value of y when x is 0. It's negative 3, so we'll include that here. And then let's calculate the value of y when x is 1. So if x equals 1, then our y value will be negative 2 times 1 squared minus 3. And so we'll get negative 2 minus 3, which is negative 5. So when x is 1, we know that y is negative 5. Let's calculate one more. If x is equal to 2, then y is equal to negative 2 times the number 2 squared minus 3, which will be negative 2 times 4, or negative 8, minus 3. And that's equal to negative 11. So when x is 2, y is negative 11. Now our vertex occurs when x is 0, so we can use symmetry to determine that when x is negative 1, y is also negative 5, and when x is negative 2, y is also negative 11. Now we're ready to graph this. So the first thing that we want to do is label our axes. I'll label them with x and y. Then we also need to scale them. So I have a 12 by 12 grid over here. And I know that my y values need to range from negative 11 to negative 3, actually. So negative 3 is the largest one I see, negative 11 is the most negative one that I see. So I'm going to make them go from negative 12 to positive 12. So each tick mark on that vertical axis will be worth 1 unit. And I'll mark off negative 6 on here and positive 6. For the x values, I have a couple different choices. I could label it negative 12 to 12, but if I look at my table, the only x values I see there are negative 2 through 2. So I'm actually going to make every 4 tick marks on this x-axis worth 1 unit. So I'm going to go to the 4th tick mark and draw out a 1, go 4 more, and I'll make 2, and then that last one will be a 3. Similarly in the other direction, I'm going to do 4 tick marks to the left. I'll have a -1, 4 more tick marks, I'll have a -2, and then at the end I'll have a -3. Now I'm ready to plot these points. I'm going to start with the vertex, which is at 0, -3, so I'll go to where x is 0 and y is -3. I'll make a point. And then I have 1, -5, making sure I'm tracking that horizontal scale. I'm going to find where x is 1 and y is -5. And then I have 2, -11, so when x is 2 and y is -11, I'll put a point in. And then similar on the left side, I'm going to have the point -1, -5. And I know that this should be symmetric. And then -2, -11. Now I'm ready to connect these with a smooth curve, and I'll make sure that the top of that parabola is rounded. And I'll connect those, and I'll make sure and put arrows on the end to show that that parabola continues downward.